Taxes in Chicago are way up. On average, like 17%. But we've got a handful of communities, predominantly Black and Latino communities, that are way, way up. We've got West Garfield Park. We've got North Lawndale. We've got Englewood on the south side. I mean, the numbers are insane how much more these folks in these communities are going to be paying. What's going on? Let's get into it. Here we go. So last night I was at home and I randomly flipped through YouTube just like you do. I look through the news, see what's going on. Maybe I've been working out and I haven't been, paying attention with my phone. Oh, what's going wrong with the world? And I was watching Actual Justice Warrior, and I watched some of his reports back in the day when he was covering Tiff Tiff, the super mayor, as well. We both kind of covered a lot of that. And I've followed a number of these communities kind of since then, because now I'm roughly familiar with a little bit of Chicago geography. And when I saw this story come out, I was in the back of my head, I'm like, Garfield, that's like West Chicago, and that is not the most affluent neighborhood, and I'm pretty sure that's heavily concentrated with Black population. And then I was like, and when they indicated the south side, how much some of the taxes I'm like, I know that is not loaded with white people, right? Maybe 4% white population. And I'm like, these are the communities that Let's Go Brandon Johnson has repeatedly said that he is going to give the most representation to. And yet it seems like the absolute opposite has happened. It seems like folks in these communities have just bent over and taken it. I mean, the numbers are insane. And when I read these numbers, I'm like, is this really true? Are you kidding me? And then they blame it on the downtown recovery economy still rebounding from the pandemic is to blame, officials said. That is utter nonsense. It's years and years and years of overspending and under-delivering. It is progressive politics at its best. It is Let's Go Brandon Johnson, who is a school teacher, but unfortunately, you folks elected him as mayor, and now you're stuck with some of the outcome of his policy, and this is what it looks like. Some Chicago homeowners are seeing a major increase in their property tax bills this year as downtown commercial real estate continues to suffer, according to a recent report from Cook County Treasurer's Office. Overall, the median residential bill in Chicago went up almost 17% to $4,457. Now, that, if you're in California, if you're in Seattle, that might not sound all that crazy, but you're talking on assessed values that are significantly less than what other affluent communities pay in taxes. Paying $4,500 in taxes when you're in a community, and that's on average. Some of these tax bills have been north of 10 grand, right? And you're in a community where you've got XYZ percentage of the population living below the poverty line. Most of the population makes like 25 grand a year, and you're going to tax them $4,500. You're going to tax them up to 10 grand, 12 grand. I mean, to me, that is just pure insanity, but you got to squeeze the blood from somewhere, right? So that's what's happening. The largest percentage increase in the city in 30 years, according to Cook County. Report published Monday shows predominantly Black and Latino communities on the south and west sides are being hit particularly hard. Median homeowner tax bill in West Garfield Park increased by nearly $2,000, a 133% spike. Median bill in North Lawndale rose almost as much. Englewood on the south side saw an increase of more than $800, or 82.5%. No, sorry, $600 and 82.5%. 82.5% increase in taxes. Thanks, Brandon Johnson. Let's go, Brandon. Right? I mean, that is absolutely nuts. I don't care how much you believe in progressive policy, progressive ideology, but man, you gotta, when this is coming down your actual, you're having to pay for these kinds of bills, you've got to question what is going on. Because I'm sitting here in Seattle. I'm in Bellevue, Washington, little suburb east of Seattle. Seattle is like 10 miles that way. And I'm sitting here going, are you kidding me? They're paying how much? What an absolute gouging. And what are you getting for it? What are you getting for it? Like, what are you getting more for your 133% spike in West Garfield Park? What are you getting? Like, are you getting Uber delivered once a week and everybody in your community getting that? I don't think so. The surge comes as Mayor Brandon Johnson has vowed to not support a property tax hike in his 2026 budget proposal, which suffered a major setback Monday after his revenue proposal, which includes a corporate head tax. This guy is going to be the end of you if you're living in Chicago. Let's Go Brandon Johnson was going to do like $20 a head, companies with XYZ making XYZ, millions of dollars of revenue. He's going to tax social media accounts. I mean, the problem is that a progressive like Let's Go Brandon Johnson will never cut the budget. He will raise taxes, tax and spend. That's the only tool they've got. Because if you start cutting programs, people are going to be pissed off at you. So it's better to go with people pissed off with a little bit of increase in taxes, or in this case, a massive increase in taxes. The mayor and his council opponents this week cited the tax bill increases in their respective rationale to either support or reject the proposed head tax. Well, we need to do it, so this is why we're doing it, or we can't do it because of just a bunch of political nonsense, which in its latest form would require companies with more than 100 employees to pay $2,100 per person each month to the city. And what does that do? What do you think happens when businesses have more than 100 employees and they've got a lease in Chicago that's ending and they're getting absolutely taxed just like you are? And you add on this other layer of tax, this head tax. What do businesses do? They leave. What happens to your revenue, your tax revenue for your city? It goes down. What happens to you as the homeowner? You stay there. Who ends up paying more and more and more in taxes? You do, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, Miss Homeowner, whatever you want to call yourself. You do. And that's what you're experiencing right now. Somebody's got to pay. Ain't going to be me. I don't live there, right? This is horrible, but this is also not, this is not specific just to Chicago. It's just that the greatest examples are in Chicago right now. And specifically because Let's Go Brandon Johnson said that he's going to be that guy that, covers for the folks in the community that can afford these kinds of increases the least. Black community and Latino community. Those living below the poverty line. Not that hard to figure out. So when these tax increases came out, I was like, wow, that is not exactly taking care of the folks that he said he was going to do. A politician lying. Shocking. That is an absolute shocker, right? Now, granted, this is county assessor values. This is what that is. You've got tax policy. You've got all kinds of stuff that goes into it. But what I'm not hearing from Let's Go Brandon Johnson is, hey, this is what happened. This is why things are as high as they are. All you're kind of hearing is, well, the downtown core, revenue from the downtown core. So what's happened in the downtown core of Chicago is no different than a lot of other cities. But you've also, in Chicago, got all these massive layers of taxation to cover for all your social programs that businesses don't have to stay and do business in Chicago. They can leave. And thousands and thousands and thousands of business have left Illinois because of the way that taxes have gone. And that is endemic to to Democrats, to progressive Democrats. You can have Democrat rule. You can have moderate Democrat rule that is fiscally conservative, but that's not what you've got. J.B. Pritzker, your governor, and let's go Brandon Johnson, your mayor. They are absolutely taking you guys to Pound Town because they have to, because the businesses have left and the commercial buildings. Your occupancy, your vacancy ratio is, you got a million buildings in the loop that are vacant, right? You got kids roaming around, looting stores. You got kids running around breaking into stuff. You got kids looting 7-Elevens. Guess what? That's not exactly the business environment businesses want to operate in. So what do? They take off, and then you make up the difference. You make up the difference. So it all works together. City of Chicago has not raised its property tax levy since 2022, but Chicago Public Schools, there we go, has regularly raised its levy by the maximum amount under state law. And your education of your children is terrible. It's terrible. Half your kids can't read or write. They consistently fail proficiency tests. It's awful. So and it's because you got a massive union there. You got the Chicago Public School Union. Anytime you get a union involved, yeah, it's not really for the people at all, is it? It's workers of the world unite. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. Overall taxes in the city grew by 6.3%, 520 whatever million. And that's all they can do is raise taxes. Because they ain't going to cut the budget. Oh, no, then we'd have to actually upset somebody. But hey, by the way, your whole deal is closed down. Don't have the money for it. Yeah, and yours too. And we're cutting back here. Oh, and we're cutting back here. But in a Democrat-led state, they don't do that. Tax and spend, tax and spend. That's all you got. A major driver behind the higher neighborhood tax bills is a downtown economy still struggling to rebound from the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah, and with your overall tax, the way you tax businesses, that ain't happening anytime soon. That recovery isn't happening anytime soon because simultaneously, the level of taxation has just gotten worse and worse and worse. And businesses leave. Homeowners don't necessarily leave because businesses, number one, don't have to have office space anymore to really work. They have everybody work remotely. We proved that during the pandemic, didn't we? And then, but people got to live somewhere, right? Got to live somewhere. So they know they can take you to town on the taxes because you're going to pay them because you don't want to lose your house, become homeless. Commercial properties in the loop will pay almost $130 million less this year in property taxes, a decrease of about 11.5%. And then you guys make up the difference. And you don't really get anything for it. You get less, right? Because everything's less. Pay more, get less. Genius. When the loop gets a cold, the rest of the city gets pneumonia. When something happens to your business district, we got to spread it out. The problem is that you don't have these big businesses to tag. Progressive revenue. That is what Brandon Johnson and a whole bunch of other just, mind-effed politicians who are on the progressive side or socialist side. Got a socialist mayor here in Seattle. Got a socialist mayor in New York City. Who are they going to tax? They're going to tax big business. You got numbnuts here in Seattle, Katie Wilson, out there protesting, don't anybody buy Starbucks. And then Mondani in New York City says the same thing. Don't anybody buy Starbucks. Oh, they're terrible. Well, what's happening is you've got a strike happening in Seattle and across the United States because these people who pour coffee think they're worth $40 an hour. They're just not. They're not worth more than what they're already getting. My neck, my back, my paycheck is lack. Well, your paycheck isn't meant to support a family. Your paycheck is meant as an entry-level job for somebody kind of getting going. Great first start because you get some amazing benefits at Starbucks. But these numbnuts out there protesting, they're workers of the world unite. We should get more. And then you got the mayor of Seattle, future mayor of Seattle, should get, sworn in, in January or some damn thing? Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great to have a socialist as a mayor because I'm going to have podcasts forever. Mamdani in New York City. I mean, these people are going absolutely nowhere and they're taking their constituents with them. Down, right? down. So bottom line is you've got people making decisions that are horrific. And what happens in a Starbucks deal is the business says, closed. We're going to close down. We can't pay you more. No can do. We're going to leave. And they do. They close down Starbucks stores. They just closed down, 10 or 11 Starbucks stores in Seattle? Just boom, done. So now you've gone from a minimum wage of whatever it is, $26 an hour. I don't even know. It's absurd. But they can't make a go of it. The stores can't make a go of it. So now you go from $26 an hour to zero because you got fired, because your store got closed down. How is that working out? How is that mathing? Yep. Meanwhile, the city's residential real estate market is going in the other direction because there is virtually no supply of homes and there's none being built across the nation. That's just kind of how it's gone, including in areas of the south and west sides that have regained the value they lost in the wake of the Great Recession, leading to higher assessments and tax bills. They can tax you because your assessed values have gone up and you can't appeal those because you have to bring in comparable sales that prove your house is worth less. And you can't do that. Not everyone saw increases. The report found that across Cook County, 1.2 million homeowners saw higher tax bills, while 362,000 saw decreases. You're always going to have that kind of mix, right? But the increases that we saw in like West Garfield were like 133%. Oh my word. That is insanity, especially considering who is paying those tax bills. Wild, wild stuff, right? Here's another interesting quote from the same article. If the commercial side of that balloon is being squeezed, the water flows to the other side that isn't being squeezed, meaning the pressure to tax goes from, can't tax the commercial buildings. Nobody's in them. You're not selling. There's no excise tax. Therefore, hey, look at all those people living in their houses. Piggy bank. Let's go. Right? In a press release this week, Cook County Assessor Fritz whose office oversaw the initial 2024 assessments, blamed the increases on what he called an inherently unfair property tax system where downtown properties appeal their assessments to the Cook County Board of Review to save millions, ultimately shifting the burden to homeowners. Yeah, but they wouldn't be. See, the problem there is if those buildings weren't worth less, then the appeals wouldn't work. Because if you're a building owner and you're going into the tax review board, you have to have comparable sales that support the fact that your building is worth less. So that just means that Cook County overtaxed those buildings if there were appeals and those dropped. Now, that's not going to happen in residential communities nearly as much. And oftentimes you can't support lower comparable sales during the time period that you need to, because usually assessed values and taxation go on a running, like a rolling 3-year basis, something like that. All jurisdictions are different, and I'm not sure how Cook County does it, but most of them have, your house is worth this, therefore the millage rate is worth this, and the levy is this, therefore you owe $12,000. And you're like, what? This is insanity. And it is. But somebody's got to pay. Money's got to come from somewhere. Just can't run a big deficit because then, you start defaulting. You start defaulting on stuff. Papa said much of the problem lies with local taxing bodies spending like drunken sailors and raising taxes too much. That's what you got going on. Spending money like drunken sailors. Levy amount last year went up by almost $600 million. You can't have $1,000 and spend $5,000, or you're going to have this situation you're in now. And that's where you're at. So who's going to pay? People left standing. You've already pushed the businesses out. You've already pushed wealthy people out, because that is literally what progressive tax ideology does. You hear Let's Go Brandon Johnson talk about progressive taxation. And what is that? That's tax the wealthy, tax big business, push them out. Who's left? You are, because you still got a house. Oh, there's an asset. Let's tax that. And that's what you're experiencing right now. So, you're always hearing about the Chicago public schools. And here's one of those stories there. Illinois teachers calling for taxing the wealthy to address school budget deficits. Why? Well, there's nobody in downtown to tax. Buildings are worth way less. Some of those building sales that are happening, they are a bargain. And then they've already taxed the F out of you in whatever community you're in. Average 17% increase. Some, like West Garfield. Ugh. So who's left after that? Oh, the wealthy. Illinois' teachers call for taxing the wealthy to address school budget deficits. Progressive revenue. Who's left? So then what do the wealthy do? They got money. They're mobile. They can move. They can up and move. Biggest example of that here in state of Washington. State of Washington is doing the exact same thing. You got to tax somebody. You got a whole bunch of deficit. You got to tax them. They're taxing business. And our new socialist mayor, Katie Wilson, has said in Seattle, we're going to go after the wealthy. We need the wealthy to pay their fair share. They already are. They already pay more than 50% of all the city's taxes. Between 50 and 60% is usually what gets paid. So the wealthy are already paying it. And the difference between the wealthy and everybody else is that the wealthy have a lot of money and they can just up and move. Like Jeff Bezos. You might have heard of him. He started a little business just in Apple Valley here in Bellevue, probably 3 miles from where I'm sitting. He started a little business in a garage there, a little 2-car garage, 440 square foot 2-car garage and a little Rambler called Amazon. Don't know if you've heard of it, but yeah, Amazon was started a handful of miles from where I'm sitting right now. And when state of Washington started going after wealthy people, tax Amazon, a whole bunch of just ideologically screwed tax concepts, Jeff Bezos said, you know what? Go F yourself. I'm moving to Florida. And he saved about $1 billion, sold a $63 million home on Hunts Point in Bellevue, and moved. Said, go F yourself. I'm moving with all the other billionaires. Because guess what? Florida doesn't tax like Washington does. Florida doesn't tax like Illinois does. Sorry. So yeah, you've got these school teachers, and what are you getting there? What are the wealthy getting for paying all these extra taxes to a bunch of teachers that arguably can't really teach? They're not really doing much. You got a broken system, right? 80 Illinois schools are zero proficiency in math despite above average spending. Check out these schools. This is a list of these schools. I'm not going to read any of them because I don't know any of them. And you can look this up if you want. 80 Illinois schools, zero proficiency. Not a single student tested was proficient in math in 80 Illinois schools. But they want to tax the wealthy because you got nobody else left. There's no other entities left. They put like a sales tax, they up a sales tax, they up some kind of excise tax, they up whatever. You're going to end up paying that. And they know it. They know they're going to have a revolt on their hands. Do you remember that little event called, the Revolutionary War? It was over taxes as well, right? It was over taxes as well. What'd they do with the tea? Dumped it in the harbor. Hey, go F yourself. What are you guys going to dump in the harbor? I don't know. What are you going to dump in Lake Michigan? So what's going on in Illinois, what's going on in Chicago is not particularly unique. I'm doing podcasts on cities all over the U.S., but typically it is cities that are progressive. A lot of the action's happening West Coast, Best Coast, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, because they've got these big budgets for all of this ridiculousness. Like, Let's Go Brandon Johnson spent how many hundreds of millions on the criminal illegal aliens coming into your community, and you had to pay for them with your tax dollars? How many hundreds of millions of dollars did you guys commit to the criminal illegals? And what did you get? You're getting a big tax bill. That's what you're getting. And then you're getting a bunch of criminal illegals in your community. How's that working out for you? That is what sanctuary city policy does. You got to pay for it. You are paying for it with your tax dollars, one way or another. And other communities are just like that. Sanctuary city policy, it's all this virtue signaling. about, hey, we're good people. Well, if you're good people, don't raise your tax rates 133%. I don't know. Give your people a break. Drop those tax rates. Oh, we can't do that. Our budget would be even worse. Figure it out, boys and girls. Figure it out. But they won't. They'll just keep doing the same thing. And you know what's unfortunate? Constituents that I'm talking to right now, you guys will keep voting Democrat. You guys will keep voting blue and then wonder, good Lord, why did my tax bill go through the roof? I just spent the last half hour talking about it. This isn't going anywhere. These situations are continuing to expand, and I'll cover it each time it comes up. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, share with friends and family, and I'll see you in the next episode. We'll catch up soon. Bye for now.